You can only be you, baby.
Welcome to another episode of the You Can Only Be You podcast, investing in mindset, health, and wealth. I am the host, Ucoby. Today I got a very special guest with me, a brother from another mother, Nick Urankar. Now, Nick is the current Crossfit Games master champion and an entrepreneur, owns a business, as well as being a competitive athlete. I'm going to let him give you all some background on how did he get started.
I don't like the word master. He's master's athlete champion, but I'm 35, so I'm like young.
He's
young buck. It's just a matter of, in athletics, I think that when you hit in your 30s, everyone thinks you're done.
Yeah.
I'm 35. I've got a wife, Chelsea, and 2 kids, 9-year-old Jada and 6-year-old Adley. They're actually outside right now in the room. I own 2 CrossFit gyms. I own an online business called Zeus Method. I've got multiple sponsors through CrossFit and my athletics. Obviously, I compete, and I'm always looking to invest in new opportunities, people, things, and try to teach as much as I can as where I've come from in the last, really 10 years is probably my period of being an entrepreneur, athlete, that's kind of taken the next level.
Okay, well, let's dive into that. First and foremost, how did you get into competing CrossFit-wise? And a lot of people out there don't know what CrossFit is.
Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit about that?
So I played college football. I played sports my whole life. Played college football. Got done with football, and I, like everybody, thought I was going to go to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Mm-hmm. And realized in college I probably wasn't. But everybody else still thought they were. And that kind of got me mad because I was like, why does everybody think they're going to be the best at everything that they do, but they're not willing to put in the work?
True.
So I saw a lot of that where it actually got a bad taste in my mouth, being around people who were high achievers in what they did, but then they got around other high achievers and they just felt like they were deserving. Rather than, I'm just going to level up, essentially. So
right.
After football, I knew I wasn't moving on in that, but I just needed something else. So I actually started running long distance. Wasn't my sport, but it was a way to compete. So I signed up for half marathons. I was a bigger guy running, and people thought I was impressive, but I was still slow.
Right.
And a buddy of mine from high school football actually told me, you need to check out this thing called CrossFit. I said, I don't want to do Zumba. I don't want to do any like aerobics. And he's like, it's not like that.
You were doing marathons, not just half.
I was doing halves. I was actually wanting to do what's called the Western States 100 out in the West Coast through the
I've
Rockies.
heard of it.
I wanted to get it's a belt buckle you get. But after I ran my first half marathon, I said, that's stupid. I'm not even running a full. I'll just run these halves and less. And that's when I knew I needed something else. And my buddy told me, you need to check out this CrossFit. And I was super skeptical, thought it was going to be dumb. I'm like, and they actually played a video for me, Every Second Counts, from 2008. It was super, it was nothing like I ever expected. Mm-hmm. And I said, this exists? And he's like, yeah, dude, you need to try it. So I started researching it, and I went all in.
Nice. Now, when you initially started, of course, you couldn't foresee the future as far as owning the business. Did you go for an affiliate at first, or did you want to do did you more so wanted to do your own thing and was forced into, okay, now I want to own a gym?
So I actually I grew up with nothing, pretty much. Separated family. Mom just worked all the time. Dad was gone, and always thought like, all I want is to make some money. That's it. Like, I want some money, but I wanted like security. Like, right. Tell me what I can make, and I'll be happy. And I remember in college I got a job and I was making about $50,000 as a full-time student. Finished football and got a job as soon as I finished football, and I was making like part-time, like 30 hours. I was making about $50,000.
That's good money.
Yeah, and I remember being like, I'm good with this for the rest of my life.
Right.
Like, let's do this.
Right.
And I started meeting people, having conversations, and actually got talked into looking into opening up a State Farm agency because you can make good money. So that's when I realized, like, maybe I want to own my own business. And as I started the process, all that kept happening was everybody was telling me I was too young, I didn't have enough money, I didn't have the experience. They wanted me to do all these different things, and I was literally sitting behind a desk. Like, I remember having an interview with all these VPs of State Farm, and they'd all be like, we love your energy, but here's all the things that you can't do. And I remember I stood there and I was like, I can do every single thing you just said. Mm-hmm. I go, it's because I'm young and because, like, you're labeling me. Like, basically, I remember I walked out and I was like, I'll do it on my own.
Yeah. No is a very, very good motivator.
Yeah, I was like, I'll do it on my own. So I ended up moving, and after I sat down, getting ready to open up an agency, and I said, do I want my legacy to be that I was a State Farm agent in 40 years? And I said, no. So I decided I wasn't going to do it.
Just
right then. I decided I was literally going to go. I was going to Scottsdale, Arizona to open up.
Why Arizona?
Because the weather, and Chelsea didn't like the humidity because it made her hair. You know, it made her hair.
Yeah.
So no humidity, Scottsdale, it's still warm. I'm from Florida. So,
right.
And then when we had our first girl, we moved up here, and I was actually working for State Farm, still doing some stuff, but I was trying to figure out like what's next, and I was getting pretty good in CrossFit. There was no money really, but there was obviously an opportunity to open a gym, and my dream as a kid was to open a gym. That was just like my dream. But like a regular gym where I got to walk around, talk to people, like benching and doing different stuff, and obviously a CrossFit gym didn't exist, and it hadn't existed in my mind 2 years before that, and it was just one of those things where I think that as far as we as people go is there are opportunities that are placed in front of us moment to moment, day to day, month to month, year to year. And the problem is that a lot of times we aren't prepared for the opportunity, so we miss it.
Right. I've heard like when you're ready to receive it, it'll make sense.
Well,
because you've told me stuff when I first joined the gym, and a lot of it recently started to make sense as I grew up. And it was like, I'm ready to receive it.
Yep. And then, but there's a difference between information and opportunity. Sometimes an opportunity is fleeting. So, and if you're not prepared, you'll miss it, and you just hope it comes back.
That is true.
What happened for me was it was like one of those things where I knew what I wanted. I was working full time. I'd left, and I basically like hustled to find a job in management to make enough money to support my family because my wife wanted to stay home with our kid. And one day she basically was like, I don't want to stay home. I want to go back to work. And she got a job that paid the exact same amount as I was making. And we were living on my income.
And she just hopped back into
She literally said, I want to go back to work. And I was making what I was making. And then she got this job. And it was one of those things where it's like, okay, we can have double the income. Or I just supported us for like 3 years. What if right now is the opportunity where we don't know double income, we know my income, and now can be hers? What if I go after what I want? And right in that moment, I started talking about how I wanted to open up a gym, and there was somebody where I was who said, I would love to help you. And next thing you know, I'm opening up a gym. And she's working, and I'm not going to be making anything. And it just was an opportunity that I was ready for. I knew what I wanted. I'd already had business plans. I was preparing.
Well, but it still took a mindset shift, though, because you said you were worried about your legacy. So, like, what shifted? Okay, now I know I want to be an owner, but I don't know what. Now, I was this close to starting an agency, now a gym.
So I didn't want my legacy to be I was a State Farm agent. I didn't know what I wanted my legacy to be. I just knew that I didn't want in 40 years to be sitting behind that desk.
I feel you.
And I didn't even know what I want. I remember at that point I decided I want to go off small chunks to make huge differences down the road. So instead of looking like in 40 years, I realized at that point I may have 40 different business opportunities that come across in 40 years.
Right.
Why am I focused on this one thing I really want to do? I'd rather open this business.
Right.
Make it thrive and then see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't focused. I wasn't thinking in 40 years I want to be a gym owner. I was thinking I want to do what I've always wanted to do. I want to do that dream. I want to take that kid and give him what he always said he wanted and find out if he still does.
Right.
So open up the gym and
was it any fear? Was it like
scared to death? Scared to death. I mean, at first, like when you're excited, you're not scared. You're like,
right.
Oh, I'm gonna do this. But once you start doing it, and I remember I had a smart person tell me, and he may not even be smart. He may have just had smart people tell him.
That's how it work sometimes.
He said, get smarter people around you so that when you screw up, they catch you. And that's what I did.
And it doesn't take a smart person to...
No, so trust me, I would have, if there are a lot of things that you need to think about or talk to, not before you start, but while you're going. You know, I think I heard something not long ago that, like, you know, you got to take the first step, right? You got to take the first step towards something. But a lot of times what we do is we like run there. Like we run to like, we think we're going to get to this thing. So we skip things. We go for the quick win. We go for like, well, I want to make $1 million rather than $1. And we jump so quick that we miss out on so many points and we fail. Rather than, it's not just the first step, but it's a small step. And it's literally like, start taking the small steps and everything will come in front of you. And that's where that opportunity comes. Like when somebody says something, listen. You don't have to apply it necessarily, but listen. And there might come a time where application, you know, when you're at step 50, that thing that person said now is like, oh, this is what they meant. Yeah. Okay, they were preparing me. I just didn't know what I was getting ready for.
Right.
So when I opened up, like I had so many people who I had giving me input. And some things I did because they told me, if you don't do this, bad things will happen. What are the bad things? I can't tell you because it depends on how bad you make it. So do these things, and I did them. And I remember my first year, I probably would have lost about $20,000 or $30,000 just because somebody made me hire a payroll company. If I wouldn't have hired a payroll company, I didn't know that I had to pay taxes on the taxes, how the taxes all worked. And I literally I thought I was overpaying on my taxes. And then when I learned what the payroll company was doing and they were paying all of my taxes on the back end basically I realized, holy crap, if I wouldn't have had that payroll company, I wouldn't be able to pay my taxes at the end of the year.
Right, then you would have been broke.
I would have been closing my business, which is why most people close their businesses. They close their businesses because they try to skimp on different things and they don't even actually know what they have to do.
Now, were you were in the midst of competing doing
all yeah.
As CrossFit was taking off,
I qualified for the games in 2011. I opened up my gym in 2012 and I was competing. I was working. First 2 years opening the gym were the worst 2 years of my life.
As far as
overall,
stress,
everything. Because I was at the gym 16 to 18 hours a day, every day except Sunday, and I was sleeping if I wasn't there. And like, you can't have relationships like that. You can't do anything like that. Now, what I will tell you though is, it was 2 years of my life.
Short time.
Ever since then, best. Like,
yeah.
Before that was better.
What does Gary Vee say? You ate dirt.
I ate so much dirt.
Yeah.
I got stomped on. I got buried alive, man.
Yeah.
You seen that show, You?
No.
He like buries his girlfriend, but she gets out.
Are you serious? I
Yeah.
gotta check. Oh, that's what people be talking about. Oh, like on Instagram and Twitter, they said the second season is like. I haven't watched it. It's that thing with he stalks the girl and like tries to make her.
You'll see, but the second season's a little bit different. So it's interesting.
All right, I'm gonna check it out.
It's interesting.
So in the midst of all this, you're still competing. You're trying to run the business.
Yep.
And you have teachers around you, or not even teachers, just people who are where you would eventually want to go and surpass, just telling you like, hey, do this.
I would have people all the time. Like I'd be with, and it was always people that were in their like 50s or over. And I'd be, working with their kid and they'd say like, hey, do you have this account set up? Are you doing this, and this? And I'm like, I can't do it right now. Like, yes, I got, I would talk through where I was because I had retirement stuff. I had accounts set up for my kids. I was doing all these things, but when I started the business, I couldn't do any of it. And I say I couldn't in the sense of my business was my investment now.
Right.
My time was my investment into my business. So I wanted a return on my time at first because I was giving it all up. So I needed to get some of my time back by getting the business going. And all these people were telling me all these different things about what you need to do, and here's how you got to do it, and here's, all these things. And I remember I would ask, like, well, who do I talk to? And so I would have all these conversations every single day with all these people who were just looking out for me. And they were just saying, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to see you and your family be in the best position that they can be in financially. And, are you doing these things? Here are places you can take your kids for cheap. This is what you can do. So people were always constantly giving me information that, again, it was one of those things where now sitting here, I couldn't apply that information in those 2 years, but afterwards, it's gold.
Right.
And it's stuff that I look back and I'm like, man, and I will reach back out and contact those people when I do it, and I will say, hey, remember when we talked? I'm good now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that happens all the time.
So what was the mindset? Because you are still a competitive CrossFit Games athlete, and that's your passion. Mm-hmm. But your duties as a father, as an owner, now this as a business entrepreneur, this has to grow as well. What is the mindset to differentiate the two? First, that's not easy.
Yeah.
And you have to, like you said, you have to, now my investment is my time with both. Yeah. Because I got to maximize both in this short window while doing both.
Yeah. So my mindset, I'll start with balance. And I think that that's something that we all say we need. And it took me probably 5 years to find what balance meant to me. And family, work, competing, training, business-wise, being on social media, online, all those different things, what that meant to me. And for me, what I realized was we create all these long-term goals, and that's great. Like, and I can tell you what I want to do in 10 years, in 3 years, in 1 year, in 5 years, in next month, today. My mindset is focused on right now. And then I know that if in 1 week I've done nothing positive towards reaching anything that I want, except for this right here, then I'm failing. But if every single day I do one thing towards my competitive athletic career, towards the gym, towards my online programming, one thing towards making something better every single day, I know that in 365 days, that's 365 times that I got better. So if I do that twice a day, it's double that.
Do you track? Do you write down daily?
I write down daily stuff that I want to do, and I write it down like, maybe this is something I have to do this week at some point. This is something I have to do today. This is something that I don't have to do, but I want to do. And I write those things. And normally I'll do like one thing. And if I do one thing, I feel good. If I do 2, 3, 4, 5, I know I can't sustain that. Right. So I enjoy it now. Hey, today was an extra good day.
Right.
But tomorrow doesn't have to be that.
Right.
I don't have to then do 6 because I did 5 today, and then 7 the next day. And then my habit is literally a little bit. And what happens is it's the saying, you've heard me say it. We underestimate what we can do in 10 years, but we overestimate what we can do in a year. And if that's true, then that means we try to cram so much into a small window, and we end up failing.
That's how you get burnt out.
And then in 10 years, we look back and we're like, dang, 2 days 10 years ago, I was killing it. And I've done nothing since because I killed myself.
Right, burnt.
Whereas one thing every single day for 10 years, dude, it's insane to think about.
Do you believe in the 10,000 hour theory?
So, great question. I do not believe in the 10,000 hour theory as written by Maxwell.
Okay.
What I believe is that 10,000 hours allows you to be in the right position at the right time with the right knowledge more times than you would be without having put in the 10,000 hours. So it gives you more opportunities to have more opportunities.
Yeah.
Because you can see more.
Right.
So having 10,000 hours under your belt of anything means nothing, except for you have 10,000 hours. What are you going to do with it?
Right. It doesn't necessarily make you a master.
And what it does is it allows you to see more. Your vision opens up. And
your perspective is
of what the reality is of what you now know. So because of that, you get lucky more often.
It was one of my favorite quotes, and it's by Ashton Kutcher. He said, "Opportunity looks a lot like hard work." And he said, as long as you're working hard, the opportunities will be there because it's hard work.
And if I'm doing one thing every single day, everyone thinks they're doing something and they're not. They're just thinking about something. But if I'm doing one thing every single day, that's one time that I'm putting something in front of me. That might become an opportunity in 100 or 200. But if it takes 500 days for me to do one thing, and then the 500th day, which I don't know when that is, but let's just say in 500 days from now, if I do one thing every single day, the 500th time I do it is the time. That's the whole point of me doing these 500 things was for that moment, but I don't know that moment exists. But if I'm somebody who does one thing every week and it's going to take 500 times, then that's 7 times longer, and I guarantee you I'm going to stop working towards that thing within that time period. So 500 days is over a year. It's a year and a half.
Yeah.
7 times that, dude, we're over a decade.
Right.
So I can be there in a year and a half, and in 7 years you're going to be still looking at me pissed off. But I did the work every single day. You didn't.
You have we all have the same 24 hours.
Dude, it doesn't. That's why time is the most valuable thing that there is.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you keep track of how long you invest your time in certain things? Like, for instance, I now have this app on my phone where it says, okay, your screen time has been 2 hours today. That's an improvement from yesterday's 3 hours. Do you have like anything like that where like, okay, I spent 6 hours at the gym, I gotta make sure I dedicate 6 hours at home, or how
No, so I do more of a. So I think every single person, we have priceless moments, right? Like, time with my family is priceless. I'm not getting paid to hang out with my 9-year-old, right? But that's something that I want. I've also got, a $10 an hour job of me inputting stuff online and going back and forth with somebody about super basic stuff. And then I've got a $100 an hour thing where I send out a really thought out email, and I can get 3 subscriptions that are $100 a month for the next infinite time. So that's more valuable. I can get a $1,000 one where I sign somebody up to go on a mastermind with me and teach them. I can do a $100,000 one if I do the right investment. So if I spend a certain amount of time going towards an investment. So I look at things more of the value at which I could pay someone to do it for me. And the things that I can't pay someone to do for me are where I want to spend my time. If I can have somebody do it for me and pay them $10 an hour, that gives me more time to work towards the $100 an hour. And then if eventually I don't want to work on those, I pay somebody $100 an hour and I work towards $1,000 an hour. So I'm constantly trying to think of it more so as, and the bigger the projects, the more time I actually have. So rather than, we waste most of our time on the $10 an hour jobs. So we sit down and we waste 5 hours a day making $10 an hour. We spend 1 hour trying to get that $100 an hour, and we actually don't even give ourselves enough time to get the big stuff.
Right, I get what you're saying.
So
it's cramming that 2 year worth of knowledge in 1 year, hoping to underestimate where you can be.
And you're wasting all your time on these small little things. And you're like, if I just didn't have to do this, then I could go do something else. Then don't do it.
Right, I get what you're saying.
Don't do that.
Then that's not worth your time.
Yeah, like so many people waste a lot of their time, and then that's why virtual assistants are big for like people that are starting to go bigger, because they're like, it takes me 7 hours to mail out 100 mailers. Don't mail out the mailers. Hire someone to do it. Well, but then I got to pay somebody. Yeah, but then you can go make 7 times that in that same time that they're sending off the mailers.
It's working smart, not hard.
Yeah, so you got to, like, that time matters so much. And I think we underestimate that because we feel like we have to do these certain things, but the reality is, like, our perception of what we believe that actually means is nothing. I probably could get rid of most of the things in my life, and my life wouldn't change. Like, me not, and I say that in the sense of like business wise, I could close my gyms, my life wouldn't change. I would impact other people's lives more than it would actually negatively impact my life. And it would take out a lot of things that don't pay me back high dividends. I could spend more time with my family. I love being at the gym. I love training. Training doesn't give me a return on my time, other than that's what I want to do.
Yeah, yes it does. You're the champ.
Yeah, I mean, I get paid, but I can make more money other ways.
Right, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I do that for me.
But that's your mindset. And it's interesting because a lot of CrossFitters don't think business wise.
No, none. Most of them aren't doing anything, nothing business wise. And
they have following.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you've heard me say this too, that most people can't get rich and famous at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, what do you mean rich and famous at the same time? It's like an actor got paid before you knew who they were.
Absolutely.
And most of the time somebody online blows up and becomes somebody, and then they try to figure out how to make money.
Right.
They don't have, it's not like I went online with no followers and I'm like, all right, how can I make money today? I'm not gonna have any followers. You grow a following because people want to see what you have, and then when you have the following, you can then offer something. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, if you're just offering something, you're not selling it. You're just offering it.
You're just offering it.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think getting that rich and famous, I like to think about that because a lot of times we want both. We want to be rich and famous.
Now, my wife always says that you can have everything you want, just not when you want it, and maybe not all at the same time. So, but it's compartmentalizing and then focusing on this, and now that I'm here, I can focus on this.
Well, I think you can have everything that you want, and we can get it faster than ever. Mm-hmm. But why? Like, if you really sat down with somebody and they said, do you really believe you can have everything you want? And I said, okay, well, you tell me what you want. And they told you what they wanted. It's foolish stuff. Yeah,
and it's funny because you made me realize a lot of stuff when we were discussing my number, my financial freedom number, or what is, and I kept saying, well, I want financial independence because I want to be free. Well, what's freedom for you? What does that bring you? And simply put, that would be what I would strive for, and that would, make me comfortable. It's not wanting too much. A lot of people tend to think they want too much, but you can simplify, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's hard. I have a good friend. He's well off, but he doesn't spend his money. And he told me, he said, man, the more I have, the more or less I'm likely to spend because it really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, you don't need anything. Yeah. That's why they always say, in order to be so like to say like I want something. Like if I said I want $1 million, act like you have $1 million. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, I don't mean like go out and spend like you have $1 million.
Right.
But act like you have the money. Yeah. Act like you have the money. And if you act like you have the money and you're still not happy, you ain't gonna be happy when you have $1 million. Right. So I think that's why I always focus on the now. Like every single day I'm thankful. And I don't do gratitude. A lot of people are like, oh, write down what you're thankful for. I'm thankful every single day. I don't need to write it down.
Right. Okay.
Like, yeah, so that gratitude, it's more of like I want to do something today. And be positive in that. And I think our mental mindset, I think you probably heard the saying, what is it? It's not about what happens to you, but how you react to it.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing I heard too where it's not about what happens or the problems that occur. It's how we view it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
you opened that box of worms for me. Just and it has led to this podcast. Just looking at the perspective, like, oh, you have everything you need. Like, you may not have the funds, but you can have the resources. You're not utilizing the resources. You're not really opening up. Everything you need, you have. Just really think. You're looking at it wrong. You're looking at it half full, half empty instead of half full.
And not only half full, there's 100 more glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's why, dude, a great analogy is we always want to help people. Like right here, somebody might be like, what is this douchebag talking about? In all aspects, because you have to be ready to hear what's being talked about and told. So a lot of times what happens is you have a glass and you have a mind that you already have made up. Everything in life, you have it made up. Mm-hmm. So your glass is full. And I come along with a full jug and I'm like, I got more information for you. And all that I'm doing is it's falling out of your cup because you don't care.
Right.
So the whole glass, we don't want a full cup. Fill my cup.
Right.
And then I'm going to grab another cup and fill my cup.
Because it's forever learning. I tend to think that's how you stay young.
Dude.
Keep learning.
You have to. Growth mindset. You have to always be growing. Always.
And now that you're in a position where you are the champ, what is your mindset going forward as an athlete and as an entrepreneur? Because now you're much older. You own your businesses now, and like you said, you could stop and nothing would change. So what keeps Nick hungry?
So that's hard because actually after the games this year, I wasn't sure if I was going to compete. Because financially, we're in a good spot. I'm comfortable. I'm hungry for more, and it's kind of like what's the next chapter look like? It was actually last Saturday, I think, or the Saturday before, I decided I'm just going to win the games again. So I'm going to win the games again. But I'm not changing the balance that I have with other things. So I'm going to win the games, still doing what I'm doing on the side with everything else. So I'm going to still grow my businesses, still look for other opportunities, whether that's investing in other things. Like, I really want to get involved in a lot more. There's a lot for me to learn still. But yeah, I'm going to win and do that without changing anything that I'm doing now. And I think the idea that a lot of times people, I had somebody tell me that they just don't have enough time. I'm like, no, you just don't know how to use your time. Like,
right.
I have plenty of time. But people tell me I'm busy, so I let them. But I have plenty of time.
It's funny because I work full time, and I realized even at my job, I have plenty of time. Like, that's why I was able to get some things in order to start this podcast. It was like, oh man, I'm not utilizing my resources and my time wisely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking too much.
Well, we waste so much time thinking too.
Yeah.
And I'll see people and they're like, I have no time, and I go on social media and they're playing video games.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're posting about playing video games.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even hiding it.
Yeah.
Yet I talked to you 20 minutes ago and you're like, I'm just too busy, I don't have any time. It's like, no, you've chosen what to do with your time.
Yeah. It's funny, dude. Like, ever since I've been focusing on how I'm investing my time, I've read more books, I've done more investing in myself, just with knowledge, and also reaching out to people. Like, I haven't talked to some friends, and it was just refreshing. This past month, December, I was at home a lot, and I was on vacation, and I was able to reach out to friends. One, we only had one car in the house, so I had to. But at the same time, it was like, okay, how can I invest my time now? What can I do to get better and work towards these goals? And man, I realized, and then when I went back to work, I was like, man, I got a lot of time. I'm not using it correctly.
And the number one thing I tell people is utilize people. Like, there's so much knowledge inside of people. It's not about going back to school. Like, go to seminars, go to learn from other people. Sit down and find out what they know. I mean, because everybody's good at something.
Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
That's why my hashtag is your story. But everybody has a story. So
Apostrophe R-E.
Yeah, and you.
that was actually for Z.
And you made me realize that as well. Like, everybody has, and somebody could benefit from hearing your story. My wife is big on that. Oh, you don't realize you've been through a lot. And it's funny because I had to sit down and realize, like, oh man, I have, and it's stuff that I've pushed to the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because I tell people, man, I've lived like 4 lives, and I still, unless somebody brings it up, it's always funny. Like, oh man, I forgot about that, or this.
We all think we're nobody,
mm-hmm.
and everyone thinks we're somebody.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks that they're the nobody, and you could be around someone who has no story, and you're gonna think that they have more than you. We all think that, man. We all think that. It's like keeping up with the Joneses, but the Joneses are struggling.
Yeah. And social media don't help. Right?
Dude, social media doesn't help if you're fake.
That is true.
Social media is amazing if you're not.
That is true.
Because you can see.
You can see.
And here's the thing.
That is
if
true.
they are fake, who cares?
Right.
I think what social media has done is just made you think you have to care. I don't care what you think about me. Because you just don't ever have to come back into my house.
Yeah.
I can block you.
Yeah.
I don't have to see what you say.
Right.
Like, we add all these layers to stuff that have none. Mm-hmm. We create these fake layers. Like, dude, you have layers.
Yeah, I do.
Inside here, if I look, we find some random person and we look and we scroll through and we create a story for them and we make layers that don't exist. We talk to them and then we find out, like, oh, they aren't at all what we thought. Because we just did it based off of what they wanted to tell us, which is all fake anyway. Like, this is real.
Mm-hmm.
So I love social media because it is so fake until you put yourself out there. You put yourself out there and all of a sudden somebody's like, I'm just like you. And it's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. That doesn't say it. It's like, well, I'm scared to tell everybody. What are they gonna think if I tell them?
Right. But you know, my biggest stumbling part with social media was I've always been myself, and everybody can tell. But it's more so sharing myself. I'm one of those.
Piece.
It's a piece, yeah. So I'm one of those people that I'm very open, but I'm very private at the same time. It's weird.
That's
like
social media.
I'm open to the point where you can ask me anything, but I'm private to the point where a lot of people don't know too much about me.
Yeah.
So
it's like you can only ask what you think you might have. You can maybe get, so you don't get asked stuff because you don't allow that.
Not necessarily, but
because that's for me.
I don't share it. Okay, so where I'm from, you just don't podcast, and it's weird that I'm using that word. You just don't broadcast, you or your issues or your struggles and how you overcame them, because somebody can look at you as like a mark or look at it as a weakness. But now that I'm older, my perspective was like, dude, I've been through that. Like, yeah. I can share it now. Like, it made me, the West Side me can now be cool with Harold. Like, that still was me. Is it not me now?
Yeah.
No, I've grown. And it's like, someone had commented on one of my Insta questions or whatever. They said, in high school, you was rude as hell. And I said, well, you don't even know me now. Like, that's the old me. I was like, come have a conversation with me. And it was just, but it's a building block. And that's helping me more with my sharing, because man, that person, to them, I was an asshole. So, but now I'm like, man, you don't even know me, but I understand where I was now, and now you can come.
And I have no idea what people would think of me. I don't talk to anybody from like high school, and like, so I have no idea.
That's the beauty of social media, because all I did was post a question, and then people start commenting.
Dude, people will, like, my wife just had somebody I went to high school with bought from her business. And she was like, you know this person? I was like, I went to high school with that person. Like, I don't think I ever said a word to her. But obviously she knows you from me. Yeah.
So, and then you got to look at your impact. And like, when you invest in yourself, I think it forces other people to invest in themselves. Meaning the quote, like, we dim our light so other people can feel secure.
Yeah.
I think once you actually start shining, like you said, you level up.
Dude.
You make everybody around you level up. Because since I moved and got a wider perspective on life, a lot of people have fell off, and it's not that we're just not on the same level.
If somebody's going to be mad at you for sharing your light or for your story or something, they're going to get upset. They're going to get upset about something anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, the only way most of the time that somebody like that is if you go to their level and you meet them where they are and you go back and forth with them. And that's why, like, a lot of times, like, if I'm learning this, but if I'm talking to you and you're placing blame on other people for your situation, I can't help you. But if you use I and you're taking the responsibility, you can be helped. Until we change it. So, like, if you said to me, like, what was so hard about where you were because you said you were struggling with something? Well, my neighbors were, constantly getting on me about this, and, like, at work, like, everybody at work. But that's how we talk. Go and have a conversation with anybody and ask them where they're struggling. They won't say, I'm making bad decisions at home. I'm not, putting my time where it needs to be. I'm not saving money. I'm racking up so much credit card. And I actually went ahead and I got a loan, home equity loan. I put $30,000 onto it because I'm just being an idiot and I just need help. They're going to say, man, I'm just not making enough money at work. Yeah. My job's just not, they're not, and like, I just got people who are just constantly on me and they're telling me I'm not doing things right. And they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know who I am. They don't know. Can't help you.
That's the mirror. People just afraid to look at it.
Well, but you can hear it all through it, but you can't point it out to them. You can't be like, you understand the common denominator is you?
Yeah. You can't escape yourself.
No. Yeah. We try.
Yeah.
By placing blame.
Yeah.
We place blame, and we've all got, even the people who look like they have nothing have something. Everybody's got something.
So, as an entrepreneur, what failures have you looked at like that may have been the best thing that could happen?
Yeah, whoa, jeez.
Like, what's the one just the one?
The one failure
that has now that you experienced that, it has propelled you years ahead now from that one failure as an entrepreneur? Because that's still an investment at the end of the day.
So I would say, a couple years ago, that's my dog sitting outside right now. A couple years ago, I'd probably been, this is like, I haven't thought about it like this, but I don't even know if it's necessarily, everyone used to say that I was always busy. Constantly, they're like, oh, you're just so busy. And I'm like, I know, like, I don't have any time for you. But inside, I was like, I'm not that busy. Why does everyone tell me I'm busy? It's because I'm a business owner. Because I'm an athlete. It's because they label me as all these things, but it's like, you're a husband. You work. You have stuff to do. Why? But yet I'm always told, like, oh, but you're busy. Okay, so I would live by that. And I allowed that to feed into me. But I felt lazy. So in my off season, I would drink. And when I say drink, like, I wouldn't drink a lot. I never liked to get drunk. But I would love to, like, finish the day and, like, have some whiskey. Have something. And I remember I had probably had, like, a couple drinks, and I was, like, sitting on the couch. And when I would take my drink, it'd be like, day's over.
Yeah.
Day's over. Like, don't expect anything from me productive. Yeah. I've done my stuff, which I don't even know if I did anything. It was just like, This is the end of the day. And I'd be sitting there. I remember one time, and this was like a big, it didn't feel big then, but I remember I told my wife, I was like, I feel empty. So I feel empty. And what I basically was saying was, I was doing nothing to grow. I was doing nothing to better myself. I was doing nothing for my family. In fact, right now, I cut ties with everything in these moments when I was sitting there having my drink, because I was done. Like, kids don't bother me. Wife don't nag me. I'm not working. I'm not doing anything. This is it. And I remember I told her I feel like broken and empty, and she was like, what? Like, completely thrown off guard. And I said, it's been like this for a while. And I remember after I said that, I just started searching for a while for, like, why do I feel this way? Why did I say that? Why? Like, what made that come out? Like, what is it true, or was it in the moment? Like, what was it? And that's when I started more thinking about, like, well, what can I do for myself to not feel this way? And I started talking more to people about different stuff. And I don't know when it all changed, but I really just got into a mode more of just learning. And once I started learning, I mean, I haven't drank in a long time, and I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic at all. I probably drank 3 or 4 days a week. Off season, and I wouldn't drink in season. And I just.
But it's funny because that little off season when you did have a drink made you feel like a failure because you're completely done with the day. Like,
but drinking was a reward. So it was interesting because what I realized was, like, for me, like, alcohol it had all these positive things when I wasn't doing it, but when I was doing it, it was very negative. So, like, it would pull me away from my family. It would do all these things. But, like, when I wanted to do it, it was like, oh, it's a reward. It's the end of the day. Or, like, I just won a competition. Or, I just finished this awesome thing. Like, it's this positive thing. But then when I'd be doing it, it'd be negative. And when I would be thinking about what it would be doing for me, it was negative. So I'm like, I realized that we place all these positive things on negative things we do. And it wasn't helping me. It wasn't a positive thing in my life. Yeah. But anything negative that we do that does not help us, we give it positive attributes to make us feel better about doing it.
To make it feel better. Like, oh, bro, I was so smacked last night.
So I had to stop. So I had to stop. I had to stop drinking and create a new reward. And since I stopped drinking,
that's awesome. And since
I stopped drinking, I realized that it's not a reward, and I don't know if I ever want to do it again.
What to get out of that? What did you create as a reward?
I didn't. I just basically said I can't have it till I do. And what I basically realized was that I took it off from what the reward was, and it kind of, like, winning the games this year didn't feel fantastic, but it was a little bit different than what I expected. So I think more that the reward was that I don't need a reward.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. I dig that.
Yeah, so it was more like, again, like I said, every single day has so much. I'd be looking for like Friday night,
right.
tomorrow. It's like, what about tonight?
Right.
I'm missing everything about tonight because I'm talking about Friday night. And then Friday night comes and it's not even that great.
Right.
But next Friday is going to be better. Because you know why? So-and-so's coming in town, and then they come in town and we get in a fight.
Yeah.
And you're like, next Friday.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I mean, I realized like
The reward was that there was no reward. It was just
it
was just me bettering myself.
Nah, like they always say, like the reward is the journey.
Yeah.
You know, and some people are like, I hate that, dude. When I talk back, or look back like at my past and stuff, man, some of the coolest stories I have are when I had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking for the cool stories when I have everything. But then it's like, but then my time's running out. So like, I'm living today.
Living in the moment. That's what's up. I like the mindset. All right, to wrap up, we do this segment called bars. All right, so the guests have to freestyle, and you only have to do a minimum of 4 bars, just 4 bars. But the
like a clean letter.
Yeah,
like 4 bars.
4
like I just
bars.
got to clean 4 bars.
4 rhymes. So just 4. And so the only requirement is that.
What if it doesn't rhyme?
That's cool. That's fine.
I mean,
I
don't know if you know.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Some people don't.
I don't know how bright these lights are. I take these glasses off.
And so you gotta say you can only be you. That's the only requirement. You can say.
I'm gonna probably forget that one spot.
You can say I'm gonna make it do what it do. You can only be you, and then there you go. You got that's 2 bars right there. No, that's actually just 1 bar. So, all right.
Oh, jeez. How long does this play for? So I can like maybe.
My thing. See, I interviewed a few rappers.
What? That's not fair.
So, but see, this is what I told them. I said, you guys can't rap over a minute. I'm not trying to make this a.
Oh yeah.
So it's more so for our audience to see a playful side of the guests and just get a little bit more insight.
I mean, I got jokes.
You can only be you.
A hand puppet.
I think this would be more exciting to see the CrossFit Games champ and a business owner to freestyle, and it shows you can only be you. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh man, dude, I don't think they know what they're in for right now.
Well, it's not like I'm asking you to dance.
Kids playing in the back, they don't know what they're doing. Ain't no crack, we don't do that in here. You can only be you. All I gotta say is that the doc, he don't go nowhere. He just sits there and wants to play all day. Hey, you can only be you. Just do what you gotta do. You ain't gonna be perfect. Just go on and play.
And be true to you. Hey, there you go. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. I appreciate it. That was awesome. Catch you guys next week. You Can Only Be You podcast. Thank you for listening. Follow at Ucoby and follow at Nick Urankar on all platforms.
Yep.
Blessings.
You can only be you, babe.